Hey everyone, welcome to another entry in the Hyrule Compendium. Today we have, I believe, three-time commenter Sirius Gray. They asked us which of the 4 console Zelda remakes improved most over the original, and do you think any had changes that were unnecessary?
It's a close one between either Majora's Mask or Wind Waker. Let me first throw out Twilight Princess. Twilight Princess looked good on the Wii, playing it on a 16:9 resolution. The graphical improvements from Twilight Princess on the Wii to the Wii U, or from the GameCube, I guess, to the Wii, were very minimal. I didn't see it that much. So graphically, it was almost like just a minor step forward, I think. And it didn't change too much in the game. I mean, there's very little that was added. I mean, we got the new Cave of Trials, I think, at the end with Wolf Link. But generally speaking, it's the same game. But when I look at not just to compare, but Wind Waker, I mean, Wind Waker went from that was like an early GameCube game. It had a 4:3 resolution, so you couldn't even play it on a widescreen, and it just looks absolutely stunning on the Wii U. It made a notable leap in terms of graphics. And then they changed the game. They added the Swift Sail, which fundamentally sped up the game. You didn't have to play the song 600 times. And they totally changed the last third of the game with the Triforce Quest. They took probably what was one of the most annoying aspects of the game and they streamlined it a little bit, so it wasn't that bad. And it was just a lot more fun. It was a lot smoother. It didn't drag. It looked very nice, and it was a great remake.
I think that Majora's Mask slightly did more for the game than what Wind Waker did, but it's like a close second. Both of them took things that were maybe slightly out of date as far as what you expect in a video game and streamlined it, like you said. But I think the improvement was more seen in Majora's Mask because it's a little bit of an older game.
With Majora's Mask, since we did get Ocarina of Time a few years earlier, we saw an N64 Zelda game already remade as a 3DS game. Graphically, it wasn't a wow, because we had seen the engine in motion. Some of the improvements they made, I mean, most notably the improvements to the Bomber's Notebook. Bombers run after you to give you your quests, and it's all documented in the log. And when you skip ahead, you can skip ahead to specific times of day. There's far less waiting around, waiting for something.
They changed the saving a little bit. They moved the bank.
Very little.
That was actually a little bit of a help to be there right by the statue you warp to. Because at the end of your cycle, when you're like, okay, I gotta go deposit my rupees, it used to be warp to the statue, then go to the West Clock Town, and then come back.
The little tweaks were just great.
Changes that were unnecessary, do you think any of them had it?
I mean, some could argue the bosses in Majora's Mask. I like them, and I feel it gives each game a bit of its own flavor with the bosses, how they totally remade some of those bosses.
Yeah.
Some of those are nothing like their predecessors. Mm-hmm. Twin Mold comes to mind, and Georg comes to mind. There's this whole second phase that didn't exist before. I mean, some of them are great. I think Goat was more...
That's pretty similar.
That's pretty much the same. Like, when I think of the things that were not the greatest with Majora's Mask, the boss battles don't really come to mind. So it's like they did something different. I don't know if this is unnecessary, but it was just an improvement that I'm not sure everybody agrees was an improvement.
I probably will be so used to the way these work that if I ever play the N64 one again, I'll be like, what is going on? This is weird. They changed slightly how the Zora swimming works.
I thought it was alright. Some people didn't like that one either, because you couldn't do the magic unlimited or something, right?
You can't swim the fast way without using magic. Ocarina of Time was good. That one's the middle of the road, I think.
I think it actually, when I'm rethinking about this, it did have the biggest difference in that it totally just included the entire Master Quest. Playing through Ocarina of Time Master Quest like that almost felt new, because it was a totally flipped world, which totally disoriented me. And it was a tough challenge. There's no hearts, recovery hearts, and there's, the double damage.
The thing that really put it over Twilight Princess for me was that you could switch the iron boots on and off without pausing the game.
Yeah. Sometimes often forgotten, but they did add other things. Like they had added the boss gauntlet mode and the boss rush mode, I think it was actually called. a cool little feature. I wonder why they didn't include that in Majora's Mask, for example. I remember when Majora's Mask 3D came out. This is not a disappointing change, but a lack of a change. I was expecting there to be some sort of second quest, a hero mode, a hard mode, or something, because they added that in Wind Waker. They added that in Ocarina of Time 3D. Majora's Mask came out and they just left it alone. And then Twilight Princess came out, they added a hero mode. So
what do you think about in Twilight Princess them taking away some of the, what is it called?
The Tears of Light.
Tears of Light.
That to me is sort of like in Wind Waker they took away some of the treasure charts. It skipped you ahead a little bit. In this case it was totally missing from the game because there was only 12 instead of 16, I think, in each of the regions. Nobody's missing that.
If they were still there, I don't think that's something someone was like, oh, this is really too long. Compared to a big thing a lot of people I would talk to about the end of Wind Waker was, oh, but then...
Nobody liked the end of Wind Waker, I don't think.
The equivalent to that in Twilight Princess is when you have to go get the sky letters and stuff like that.
Right, and that's not nearly as long. That's not really long at all, actually. It takes time because it's throughout the whole overworld, but you're constantly doing something. When you're in the Great Sea, you were literally just sailing forever and ever. Not a riveting gameplay at all. They could have done more with Twilight Princess, I think. I don't exactly know what. The big one is that graphically it wasn't a vast improvement. And we saw the mirror mode. It was nice to see the Ganondorf amiibo mode and the hard mode, but it didn't seem like there was that much of a change with Twilight Princess HD. Just my opinion, though. It's one of those things you don't know how much you really want them to change because you don't want to take away from the original game.
Sometimes you don't know until you see it. I think with a lot of things we discuss, we discuss topics in Zelda and we're like, maybe it'd be cool to see this, but I don't know.
Sort of like the Majora's Mask bosses. Imagine they rework the bosses of Twilight Princess, and people are like, some people would have been like, oh, these are great. Other people will be like, oh, why did they have to change this? You know what they should have done though, for sure? They should have allowed you to get the horse call right when you got Epona.
Because you get it when it's totally useless.
Put it in Malo Mart's shop.
They should just give it to you right away.
Make it a buy purchase. Give something, new for rupees that you can buy.
You go to the graveyard and get some rupees.
They did upgrade the wallets though. I think they changed the iterations of what your maximum wallet size was.
Well, that's good. So you're not putting rupees back. Let us know what you thought. Give us some of your rankings of which one you thought was the most improved over which one was unnecessary. Leave us a comment about what other topics you'd like us to discuss, and thanks for watching. If you want to know when we have new videos, click the subscribe icon. You can follow us. That'd be great. If you want to see other entries in the Hyrule Compendium, click up here. Mas and I also do another series where we read the Ocarina of Time manga called the Zelda Book Club. That's up there. And, of course, you can follow the Zelda Informer podcast by clicking down here. There's many episodes of that. And once again, thank you for watching.